Hey gang, and today we're going to talk about trash management. Sounds boring, actually really important, and not boring. It's actually pretty fun. So let's jump right in. The three main things that you're going to want to get rid of as a fortress grows and as you continue to play it are refuse and corpses and non-economic stone. Some exceptions, there are very specific situations where you would want to keep non-economic stone, but in most cases, you're going to have more than you need. Non-eco stone is the stuff that's not flux stone, it's not ore, it's not gem, it's not anything useful towards a process. It's not quicklime or marble or anything that has a special thing. And it's created when when you dig out a mountain, it's just kind of the extra stone that gets left over. So you're going to want to get rid of these. And in the case of corpses and refuse, it's going to create miasma, which is a stink that forms when things are rotting in an enclosed area. And you can deal with miasma by either just keeping all the rotting things outside, or keeping them in a place where dwarves don't go, or keeping them underground but having vents in the ceiling that lead up to the surface. And you can put grates on them or something if you don't want things to come back down. But all of those will prevent your dwarves from smelling the stink, and it gives them a negative thought basically every time. So if you don't do practice hygiene, your dwarves are going to tantrum spiral eventually. They're going to get upset. And that's relatable. So there's a few ways to get rid of each of these. The first thing you're going to want to do is sort them. Have them create stockpiles. What I usually do, especially when I'm getting started, is I'll create an outdoor stockpile that is custom for refuse and for corpses. And then you have to be a little careful because another thing that makes dwarves really angry is not honoring the dead. So while you're processing corpses to the stockpile, make sure that you don't accidentally dump or destroy or treat a dwarven corpse as garbage. Because of course that's disrespectful, and that's gonna you're gonna end up with a ghost basically, unless you carve a memorial slab. It's easier to do the right thing with corpses, so you may as well. So just keep an eye out for that. When you are sorting refuse and corpses, when you're moving those things outside to reduce miasma. But as long as you keep an eye on that. So now that you have things that you're sure you don't want in stockpiles, and you can set, you'll see in this footage, I have a stockpile that is specifically non-eco stone, all three things that we talked about, non-eco stone and corpses and refuse. And you scan, you make sure you're not throwing out any skeletons that need to be buried properly. And another way that you can make sure of that is just to do burials in a timely manner, the way we do in real life. Try to do it as soon as possible. But now you have this stuff, you have your pile of trash. How do you get rid of it? There's two really easy ways. And one is if you have access to magma or lava. This map, as you can see, is actually on a really steep volcano, which is pretty cool. I'll do future videos from here. But you can just dump stuff in the magma, and as long as it's not fire or magma safe, it'll burn and be deleted from your map. And that'll be that. If you try to dump like magma safe stuff, I think it will actually sink to the bottom and be out of sight, out of mind, but it won't actually destroy it. The way to truly destroy everything is something that the community invented called a Dwarven Atom Smasher, and this is a really cool piece of technology that's also not that hard to set up. You'll see actually in this video, in this footage, I set up a second Dwarven Atom Smasher right in front of everybody because it's only a few steps. You build a drawbridge, and you make sure that the drawbridge draws up into the air in a way that is conducive, so that there's an area underneath it that is easy to get to, but not too easy to get to, and we'll talk about that in a second. But so you make a drawbridge that can swing whatever direction you want. And then underneath that drawbridge, you make a garbage dump zone. Oh, I haven't even talked about garbage dump zones, but we all know what zones are, and there's a garbage dump one. You make a garbage dump zone underneath the Dwarven Atom Smasher, and then connect that bridge to a lever with mechanisms so that the drawbridge goes up and down, and when it goes down, it deletes everything underneath it. So that garbage dump zone, anything that's been dumped properly, will be permanently and instantly deleted. Risks are that if a dwarf happens to be under the bridge, they will be instantly deleted murderously. And also, you'll actually see in this footage, I did it by accident, or the dwarf did. I could have planned better. This is what I meant when I said about, like, you have to decide which way you want the bridge to open, because I made the new one open towards the stockpile, but then my dwarf who pulled the lever tried to exit by walking over the drawbridge and was flung, I believe, clear of my map. I believe he seems to have been deleted. You can check the footage yourself, because it seems like he would have maybe hit the wall, but he is thrown into the air, which anything that's on top of the drawbridge when it raises, anything that's under the drawbridge when it comes down, will be flung at fatal speed, usually, into the air, or deleted permanently, depending on if it's on top or on bottom. But so if you can design a safe Dwarven Atom Smasher, then that's really the way to go. You pull the lever. What I'll have to do for this one that you see me set up is just make it so that the dwarf enters in, from a safe other direction and then can't wander over the smasher. It's not hard to make these safe. I was just rushing and thought it would be okay. Lava dumping I mentioned, and that ties back. This is now, I'll talk about the garbage dump zones. So same as anything else, you use the Z for zones UI and you just paint it, and then dwarves will throw anything marked. So this is a distinction. Corpses and refuse are types of items, but that does not mean that they are marked as dumpable garbage yet. And I'm struggling to explain that because it is kind of nuanced. But so in this video, you'll see that I go down to the bottom right, and there's a little trash can symbol. It's on yours as well. And that marks things for dumping. You mark it with the trash can. You can take that designation back off. If you're not familiar with how to designate, you really have to practice with that menu until you're more familiar, because forbidding and unforbidding is very, very useful, necessary in some cases, as is dumping and undumping. And that's mostly what that menu is. But just in the bottom right there with the trash can and the lock. And it's not that bad once you practice with it. But I'm losing my voice today. Oh, and one other thing. So somebody recommended that I prepare a script beforehand, and I actually did for this one. But I wasn't prepared enough. It's just too complicated for me to get it completely straightforward on the first try. But thanks everybody for bearing with me. What else? Okay, let me see. Actually checking these notes. So lava dumping, non-eco stone. To make stockpiles that only do non-eco stone, it's not one of the main categories of stockpile items, but it's inside stone. So there's 4 types of subtype of stone in stockpiles. And you can specifically just toggle the non-economic one. It says non-economic, and I think the other 3 are like metal, things like that. And that's how you separate the ones that you probably really don't need that much of. I think the only thing you would want non-eco stone for is, maybe if you wanted to make extra rock stuff and you're running out of stone in general. Only last things I had are special stockpiles, which we talked about, make a corpse refuse stockpile outside, make just like I said, make a non-eco stone only stockpile. That's what you're looking at in mine, is me clearing these refuse and useless stone stockpiles. The only other thing are quantum stockpiles, which is another exploit that is kind of related to Dwarven Atom Smashing. And all that is that, at least as I understand it, correct me if I've missed anything about quantum stockpiling, but, stockpiles have 1 item per XYZ coordinate, right? Like you put a breastplate next to a breastplate, next to a bar of copper, and you can't stack things vertically, in the same Z space. But that's not true for dump zones, because then dump zones would take up too much space. So dumped items will stack infinitely on a single space. So this is actually very useful. If you are really in a pinch and you need to crunch down items, as long as you remember what you're doing and you're careful, you can mark them for dumping, put them in a dump zone, but then just don't destroy them. Don't make the dump zone lava or, a Dwarven Atom Smasher. And then when you need it, just undump with that same menu. Undump that item, and then the dwarves will pull it out of the dumping zone. How it works is when you order the dwarves to dump something and they successfully bring it to a dumping zone, they switch it to forbidden so that they won't ever pick it up again. So all you do is just unforbid that item, and then the dwarves will claim it again. So it saves space in the meantime. That's a quantum stockpile. I think that's everything, and I might have even talked past all the footage I have, but If you made it this far, please like and subscribe. We're doing good. We're almost at 500, and I'm going to do that special live stream when we get there. So please, if you've enjoyed my content, it really supports. It helps me carve out time every day to keep growing this channel. You know, when it is growing. So I really appreciate your guys' help with that. Comments help too. If you want to tell me just anything, hit me up in the comments. I love talking about Dwarf Fortress. I answer most people. I really try to. But yeah, that's all I got. I hope that made a little more sense. I'll catch everybody next time.